Registered representatives offer securities through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Financial advisors offer advisory services through Securities America Advisors, Inc. Forest Hills Financial, Inc. and Securities America are separate entities. This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steindler.
Good morning. Welcome to the Keeping Your Money Show. I'm Jamie Westenbarger, joined as always by my esteemed colleague, Mr. Bart Steindler. Bart, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It's another $1 million morning.
Indeed it is. I am back. I was gone last week. Much thanks to Bart and Troy Fox from Fox Financial on the Lakeshore, our partner over there in the Muskegon area, for picking up my slack and carrying the show through the week.
That's right. And what would you say? Your voice is about 75% back?
It's getting there.
It's not 100% yet.
It's unbelievable. I just can't kick this thing.
This is like the third week.
I know. I call it my Scarlett Johansson voice.
Yeah, well, I'm not finding it that sexy, so back off, big boy.
This is the Keeping Your Money Show, where we cut through all the bulls, the booyahs, the bells, whistles, honks, and horns to get you the information that actually helps you move towards retirement. We've got a great show on deck today. We are going to discuss, if you are in your 50s, this is how you get serious about planning for retirement. Maxed out your 401k. Here's another way to continue saving. And 401k investors, be careful of this 5% rule in order to protect your retirement savings. We also have David Bennett, and he's from the David Bennett Company. He's going to be talking about how to take your life to peak performance. A little bit different segment for us, but something that we're going to run with a couple times here over the next couple months, as David kind of talks about. Maybe it's not just all about money, but also, you know, it's good to take care of yourself in other arenas as well.
Yeah, David helps a lot of people as a executive coach and consultant for companies and nonprofits, and you know, we thought there'd be a lot of synergies between what we talk about here and what he does.
Sure. Missing part of the show, you can find it on our website. Just go to keepingyourmoney.com. You can also podcast us through all your favorite podcast outlets, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Just look for the Keeping Your Money Show. If you want to reach out to us, maybe you need a plan for your retirement income. Maybe you've been trying to figure out what strategy you need to do to start drawing out money when you retire. We're always available to assist. You can give us a call at 888-98-MONEY. That's 888-986-6639, or shoot me an email, info@keepingyourmoney.com, and I do respond to all of those emails personally. So you really should be serious about retirement always. I mean, I don't think 50 has to be the time that you all of a sudden decide to do it, but I think sometimes for a lot of people, Bart, 50 is that age where maybe it starts to become a little bit more realistic, right? It starts to become a little bit more real. You realize you're decade and a half from this actually happening. Right. Where, you know, you're in your 30s, you're like, well, I got time, you know, whatever. And maybe you've been saving all along, but now the reality of I'm kind of on those last 20 yards to retirement. What does all of this that I've been saving really mean starts to maybe become a little bit more prescient in your life, you know, a little bit more important than maybe it did before.
I think when you're 20 and 30, it's hard to visualize, you know, 65 to 90.
Right.
But I think when you're in your 50s and right around that age, you start to see other people you know that are in that phase. You see what your parents and what their siblings are going through, and all of a sudden all these things you've started to hear about, like on the Keeping Your Money Show and other types of media, are starting to hit home, and you're starting to say, oh, wait, this I got to get something done about this.
Yep. The key to the 50s is you are in your peak earning years. This is where mistakes that you make could be absolutely catastrophic to retirement, because you're not going to have this opportunity again, and you don't have the time to make up for any major screw-ups. So in your 30s, maybe you threw it all in that crazy tech stock you thought was going to go bonanza, and instead it went bankrupt. You can recover. In your 40s, maybe you invested some money in a home business you thought was just going to be amazing. It didn't quite work out. You can recover. In your 50s, though, these are your peak earning years. You're making more money probably than you ever have, and you're probably pretty close to the max you're going to make for the rest of your life on an annual basis. This is when it's really important to be really kind of willowing down those expenses, putting as much away as you can in retirement savings, and really starting to hone in on what does retirement look like? What am I going to need for income? How am I going to generate it? Do I have enough? This is a time when we see a lot of people come in and they may make really good money. They may have some pretty decent savings, but there's still a disconnect on how all of that fits together in retirement.
Right. We had some people that just came in yesterday, and it was kind of interesting. One thing they said is, we went to this company, and we went to this company, and we just want to be honest with you. We're talking to you too, but we've already talked to 2 other companies. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. I think it's a good idea. And they were in that age range, and all the companies they went to, nobody really asked them, well, where do you feel like you need to be, and where are you, and let's talk about that for a while before we start talking about investments. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the look on their face, they were literally shocked. It's like, huh? And I said, yeah, I mean, I don't really know you folks that well, so tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living? How much do you make? What do you think retirement's going to look like for you? And, what is some of the ideas about what kind of income you're going to need? And we had that conversation, and I said, okay. I go, let's circle back and talk about what you need to get there, mm-hmm. and then the vehicles that are going to get us there and how we're going to fund those vehicles, that comes later. But so many people are not getting that connection that it has to be a plan. It's not just taking money and putting it into an investment.
Well, and I also think this is the time where you need to be serious about things that maybe you've ignored before. And I see this a lot with people that make pretty good money. Mm-hmm. They don't really have a budget. Right. They pay their bills. They have plenty left over. If they want to do something, they do it. They kind of just, I don't want to say fly by the seat of their pants, but there hasn't been an overwhelming need to really budget themselves. They max out their 401k. Everything's good, right? But now in your 50s, this is when we start needing to kind of hone in on what do some of these numbers look like. If you make $170,000 a year, you don't have a budget, and all you're doing is maxing out your 401k, you honestly have no idea how much money you're going to need in retirement because you don't even know how much money you need right now. You're just kind of spending it as it comes in. So some of those things that maybe we've resisted in our younger years, we have to start embracing. We have to start really looking at a spending plan. What is our cost of living? What are the things that I don't want to say we waste money on, but we may not need? Because one of the things I see people do is they fool themselves. They live on 170 now, and they say, well, in retirement, we've looked at it, and we can live on $60,000 a year. Well, I just, until you can figure out how you could live on $60,000 now, you're using a number that just doesn't really even make sense because you're nowhere near to living on that today. And just not going to work every day is not going to cut $110,000 out of your budget.
No, because you're not spending that much going to work. And I see this a lot. I see people that they can afford to take a very expensive vacation, so they take a very expensive vacation,
which is great,
or maybe 2 very expensive vacations. But and that's fine. But if you haven't sat down and figured out this formula about what you're going to need and what kind of income and what kind of lifestyle you're going to have in retirement, it's really time to do it. And I was getting to the couple I had talked to, and, mm-hmm. and they were like around 50 years old. And then a couple weeks ago, there was another couple I talked to, and they were 63. Okay, and they had waited until they're 63 to kind of look at this plan and see what was needed. And what they found out is they have to spend 4 years making very significant amounts of contributions to their retirement in order to get it to where they want to be. Now, if you take that same couple, if they would have looked at doing that at age 50 instead of 62, it probably would have been the same amount of money they would have had to add, but they'd be adding it over almost 15 years instead of adding it over 4 years,
Right.
and that's a lot more palatable to take. It's not as much of a adjustment, and therefore it's easier.
It's also a really good time to sit down and seriously look at how you're investing. Many of us are, aggressive investors when we're younger. As we get into our 50s, it's time to start recognizing that our window of time has shrunk to when we may start to need that. We need to start being realistic about what our expectations are of our investment portfolios. The last 10 years has done quite well for most people. It's also given a lot of people a false sense of security to where they may be investing much more aggressively than they really should be because their performance has been so good. They're missing that, good times don't happen all the time. If you lose 30% of your portfolio and you're 35 years old, big deal. You've got 30 years to make it back up. You lose 30% of your portfolio and you're 58, it's definitely a lot more shocking and potentially much more catastrophic to your overall, investment plans and your expectations for retirement. And on the flip side, growth is that much more important. But maybe conservative growth. Maybe you start to win more by losing less, because you have a larger balance. So therefore, the compounding of that balance becomes so much more powerful in that last 10 years of saving.
Yep. And there's ways to design portfolios to make those types of outcomes a lot more likely to happen. And those are the type of things that we can help you with.
Yep. The other thing is, real quick, if you haven't had the long-term care discussion, if you haven't looked at ways to make sure you can pay for long-term care, if you're in your 50s right now, this is a perfect time to start really looking at what those options are. You're in a good window from a standpoint of cost. You're in a good window from a standpoint of time. And quite frankly, if you're 55 and your spouse is 55, you got about a 50% shot that one of you is going to need long-term care. If that comes out of pocket, that's even more money you need to be saving, where there are maybe some options and alternatives where you could find ways to pay for that other ways if you start planning for it today, not wait till you're 65 and then it becomes a conversation. So, all right, let's talk about coming up here in a minute. Maxed out your 401k plan. Here's another way to save, actually a couple ways to save we'll talk about right here on the Keeping Your Money Show.
It's never too late to plan for your future, and the Keeping Your Money Show can help. Our team of advisors can answer questions you may have about investing your money. Through Securities America, Inc., our advisors offer a diversified and comprehensive list of quality products and services. Call the Keeping Your Money Show at 1-888-98-MONEY or visit keepingyourmoney.com to schedule your free consultation.